4. And present is, oh, hold on. Okay, present is myself, Bob Carlson, the first selectman, and Selectman Brett Mastriani and Nicole Porter. And Christine Dias is also here. Are we doing minutes for this meeting? Are you doing them, or is Ivana?
Ivana's going to watch the video and do the minutes afterwards. So thank you again, Ivana, for continuing to do that.
So the reason for the meeting today is just to call for the town meeting, which is tentatively scheduled for May 1st. And you had a copy of the call put in your folders. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but we know that there's obviously the questions 1 and 2 pertain to the budget, the school budget and the town budget. Also, question 3 is the ordinance for the local option on tax relief. Then we have questions 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 are all about the ordinance changes. And then there's some deobligation questions on 9 and 10. So if we're good with that, I would entertain a motion to call the meeting. And then we have to discuss the timing of the referendum. So do I hear a motion to call this meeting for May 1st?
So moved.
Second.
So Brett motioned and Nicole seconded. So any further discussion?
No, I mean, Brett, we had talked at the meeting the other night and just kind of rearranged the order just so that it flowed, well with like things, keeping finances kind of together, ordinances together. Just want to make sure that you're okay with, the order that we came up with.
Yeah, everything looked great.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, no further discussion. All in favor of calling the town meeting for May 1st, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. in the not sure where that meeting's going to be. Are we going to have it at I guess we're going to have it at the 298 Norwich Wesley Road. So we're all in favor with that, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so 3-0. Do we want to discuss the timing? Brett, did you want to discuss timing for the referendum vote? I know we had thought 8 to 8 because we thought 6 to 8 was a waste of time. I worked the polls 2 times where there was no one showed up. But my only thought was if we went to 12 to 8, it might knock out a bunch of people that would vote in the morning. And I don't want to give the impression that we're trying to do something that would not have the budget. Give everyone a chance to vote for the budget. So, but whatever, however you want to discuss it, whatever the hours want to be.
When I remember last year when the registrars were talking about the budget and some other things in the flexibility to move things from 12 instead of doing them at 6 to 8, how it was before. I did briefly talk to Emily Lewis a little bit ago, and she was open to anything. She just thought like the early hours to late was too much time. I was thinking 12 to 8 because that seems what other towns are doing. I know we don't like to always say, well, these are what other towns are doing, but looking at the numbers in that only about 382 people voted last year for the budget. I know you don't want to dissuade some of the people earlier voting, but I remember I was standing out there all day that day. And I want to say there were a handful of people, maybe 2 handfuls, if that came before those hours. But those were people from my recollection that would come after those hours. A lot of them were more retired people, things like that. I think keeping them open too long is just a drain on our resources and a drain on, the people that work the polls for the amount of votes that are taken. I think we'd get the same amount of votes and hopefully more this year if it was condensed. And maybe we can use the morning to promote getting people out to vote.
I think go ahead, Nicole, were you going to say something?
No, I mean, I think, I do worry. It's always difficult when we make a change to get communication out to everybody. So I do worry about people showing up in the morning. If we change it as drastically to start at 12 instead of 8A, I do worry that we may get, I mean, to your point, Brett, those couple of handfuls of people, and that they won't come back. So if they drive up and it's not open and they've taken the time to come, I'm just concerned that they're not going to end up, you know, coming back. And let's face it, a couple of handful of people could sway something one way or another. But I think I'm in favor of 8 a.m. 8 to 8 sounds like a nice, tidy time span. But I think that we're going to need to do some significant communication with the residents to make sure that they understand that they won't be able to come at 6.
Whatever time we decide on, I'll get those signboards out a week ahead of time that we put out the sandwich boards, and I can put, you know, budget referendum, and I can put whatever time we decide on there. So that'll be out there, and we'll have it posted on the town website a few times. And
Yeah. And the reason I brought up 12 day is those were our hours up until 2019, I believe. For as long as I can remember on a budget referendum, it was 12 to 8. And I feel like we had more people come out back then, it seems, than the 400 people.
All right. I didn't realize that was something that used to happen. I mean, I always vote after work, but I didn't realize that was a common thing a couple of years ago.
Well, don't forget, we moved the voting to the 298 building, right? So when the voting was at town hall, you didn't have the people doing student drop off at the high school and elementary school right across the street. So now they go out of one parking lot, they go right into the other parking lot across the street, and then they vote. They might not have done that when it was at the new town hall, because now you're going into the village. So it's an easy thing to drop off your kids and drive over and vote. So that was one thing I thought we would get some extra voters by letting the drop off parents get a chance to vote early before they went to work. Again, just for convenience. I understand there's a fiscal part of this too, with having to pay poll workers an extra 4 hours. The other thing is all votes in our town by ordinance, unless we change a particular vote, it all go 12 to 8, except for the one in November. We have no choice because the state tells us that general elections have to go from 6 to 8. So we have the prerogative to put it at whatever time we wanted. I don't have a big thought either way, 12 or 8. I would just say that, and you said, Brett, it might have been before 2019, but we only started voting at 298 around 2019. I'm just wondering if that flow of traffic would help. And then in future years too, when you've got the early learning center there, I'm gonna have to talk to them about how that's gonna work, because when she have kids in class, she might have to have no school that day, because if we got cars coming and going, but that's a problem for next year, or for maybe November. But for this particular vote, I'd like to see how many parents came over right from school. I can't believe how many parents, ever since COVID, they line up so soon. I mean, there's cars and there's more people dropping their kids off than riding buses these days. It's incredible.
Yeah, talking about that at the Board of Ed meeting as well.
I wish they could go back the other way, because they're gonna have to do a bus study now, because there's so many buses that are almost empty, or go to smaller buses or something. I know they spoke about that, but this is it's a phenomenon that's happened, and I wonder if we can take advantage of it. And so maybe put or maybe a sandwich sign right at the exit from the school saying, "Don't forget to vote," across the street at 8 o'clock. You know, so I would love to. I think too, and not to sway the vote. Of course, we always want the vote to pass because we work so hard on it. But possibly it would benefit the school to have parents vote.
Oh, it'll definitely benefit the school to try to siphon them in from there. I just would, I would hate that I would hate to look like we were trying to siphon in school extra votes compared to trying to get the whole town in. But
Well, what we're trying to do is maximize votes, and whether you're a parent or not, it's open to everyone that lives in the town. Of kids, parents of kids or non-parents of kids. So my feeling is, if we're not looking to get more school, we're just looking to get more people to vote, whoever those people might be.
And the registrars don't think they have any problem doing the longer day with the staff that they have.
Typically in the past, they've come to me when they've had an issue, and then this one I've heard nothing. Matter of fact, I don't know who had the conversation, but I heard they talked about 9 and then they thought about moving it to 8. So just to get the.
Yeah, because it sounded like if we were doing it at 9, might as well do it at 8 to get those other people. But they never, according to Emily Lewis, she didn't think 12 was even an option.
Yeah, I mean, I think 9 o'clock is pointless. You're not allowing the people that are going to go before work. They're already going to have to be there. So if we don't do 12, I vote for 8. And again, for me, I know that it used to be 12 to 8. I think I'd like to ease into that and do a study. If we do 8 o'clock for this one and really count how many people we've gotten from 8 to 12, and then study and adjust. And if we have, again, 5 people in those 4 hours for the budget, then next year, let's just do 12 to 8. Do we have any idea what we're saving if we were to do if we weren't to do those 4 hours of 8A to 12P?
You're asking me, Christine may know that. I don't know that. It's how many people work times what we pay them per hour. So
Yeah, you'd be saving possibly 1 meal and then just the poll workers that are working at that time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that $1,000, Christine? I don't know how much money that is.
I don't have a rough estimate of that.
But I think what you said, Nicole, is to do it, try it, and then see if moving voting to where it is, see if that makes a difference with that early morning group. And why don't we have them keep track of all the numbers? We do present ourselves as the administration who listens, right? We listen and we try to do what's best for the town. If we find this is wrong, then let's not waste the town money. Let's go to 12. But if we find that we can get 50 to 100 people voting between 8 and 9 o'clock, then we know we did the right thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's my feeling.
It makes sense. Makes sense. And then maybe if we're looking at this, maybe in the future, we look at moving them to Tuesday.
Say that again, Brett. I missed that.
And maybe if we're looking at that, maybe in the future, next year, whoever's in office looks at maybe looking in Tuesday voting. It's come up in a number of the groups I'm in on the state level that Tuesday voting seems to be best with municipalities because people are already in the mindset that they vote on Tuesday. So when they vote, it's just a mentality they have. We're one of the few towns that do vote on Mondays. But if you look at a lot of the surrounding towns, it's always a Tuesday vote for
We
referendum.
go to this early voting thing, Brett. People won't know what day they're voting.
That is true. That is true.
Saturday, Sunday.
Have we gotten any word whether that's going to affect this referendum?
So I spoke about it with Greg Howard this morning, and I was emailing back and forth and texting with Heather Summers yesterday. I sent her, there was 9 bullet points on reasons why we would be negatively affected by doing this, because if we have multiple budgets, plus we can do a petition with 50 votes. We know we have a referendum possibly coming up with what to do with the 298 refurbishing. We might have a referendum coming up later this year, what to do with the Wheeler Library as far as their ask. I mean, if we have 2 or 3 referendums plus a budget that doesn't pass, we could have 40, 50 days of early voting when you add them all together, which would be, and even though the state says they have money put aside to help the towns, well, we pay whatever it is, $15 to $18 a poll worker. Stanford pays $30 an hour. So does that mean they're going to take more money out of the bucket? When the bucket's going, it's gone. And how are they going to, what if we have 5 referendums and Stonington only has 1? Are they going to pay us for all 5? So there's so many reasons. And then once our poll workers reach a certain plateau of earnings, we have to start doing Social Security reductions in their paychecks. It's a mess. So I have no problem if they want to say you have to do it for November, but for referendum. So that decision has been made yet, but Heather thanked me for sending the points yesterday to her. And she said, these are a lot of things that people don't think about, so,
Because they can still do absentee ballot right now, correct?
yes.
For a budget. So, I mean, that works. In my mind, it kind of works the same for this. So compared to having someone have to be set there all the time to receive. So, all right. So we'll make a motion to set the referendum hours for May
First,
1st from 8 AM to 8 PM.
Well, that has to be voted on at the town meeting.
Oh,
Oh, oh. Okay,
Yeah, so it's on the call saying that the recommendation is for the hours to be 8 to 8. But it has to be voted on at the town meeting.
okay. So maybe we'll hear from people that feel a certain way and then we can always adjust
That-
on. That's even better.
yeah, I agree.
but
I
do you
agree.
mind, as the other two selectmen, do you mind if I presented the way we just spoke about it? As a group of administrators, we're trying to listen and see if this works best and see with the voting move to new 298 if it works. And we'll be happy to change it if it doesn't. So,
Yep. Study
Yeah.
and
okay, good. All right, any public comment? I don't see any public online.
Nope, no public.
No, nobody's online, right?
Nope, nobody's on.
Okay, would anybody want to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
yeah,
Nice, so Brett motions to adjourn, Nicole seconds. We're adjourning at 10:50.
And
Wow.
the official call will be in your mailboxes to sign over the weekend so we can file with the town clerk.
Very-
We know there's
Yep.
gonna be checks this weekend, Christine, or not?
There should be.
okay.
Great, thank you, guys.